In today's video, I want to share with you four very powerful words. Four very powerful words that will bring you back to the present moment. What's up, everyone? My name is Morrissey, and if you're new to this channel, I encourage others to live with effortless ease. And today, I have four very powerful words to share with you. Four words that I use throughout my day to pull me out of the mind stream and back into this moment, to the only moment that ever exists. These four words, they help me to improve my relationship with my thoughts so that I don't feel as though my mind is using me, but instead, I am using my mind. Now, during this time, I give myself two options. I make it simple for myself. I tell myself, listen, you can do this or you can do this. Now, my first option is to bring space in between me and the thought, something I've spoken about before in a previous video. And I also learned this from Eckhart Tolle. To bring space in between you and the thought, because the thing is that when you are unaware of the thought, you become the thought. You are in such a mind-identified state of consciousness that you don't even realize that you are now vibrating at the frequency of that thought that's flowing through your mind. Because, when thoughts come into our mind field, they want us to interact with it at its own vibrational frequency. But when you place space between you and the thought, you then become the witness, the observer. And that thought, it has no power, because thoughts only have the power you give it. So like down below, if you have placed space between you and your thoughts before, it doesn't have to be for a long amount of time. It could be just a moment, like down below. And also, for those who have not heard me speak about this in depth, I will put a link right here so you can watch another video where I really explain that. But when I find that I am unable to put space in between me and my thoughts, where I'm still believing that thought, it's not working, the thought is still consuming me, I'm still bothered, I choose to tell myself these four words, and that is, be okay with it. To be okay with how I'm feeling. Be okay with what I'm thinking. Be okay with where I am in my life and who I think I am. Because what that does is it allows me to align with the present moment. Many times our stress and our suffering, it comes from the fact that we think that we should be different. We should be thinking differently, feeling differently, acting differently than we actually are. But when you tell yourself, be okay with it, all of that stress, all of that responsibility, all of that burden, that energy, it gets transmuted into free energy. And that burden is lifted, opening this door for a much greater intelligence to speak through you. It happens through stillness. It happens through silence, where you're finally relieved and you can simply be. Now, I have a really funny story that actually inspired me to share this and make this video. And it actually happened to me the other day. I was with me and my mom. It was me and my mom, and we were taking this yoga class. It was a yoga class online via Zoom, and we were heading towards the end of the class, and we were holding the Savasana pose. And we noticed that we were holding the pose for a little bit more than usual. Now, during this time, this very unexpected time, and it ended up being a very long time, I went into this very intense meditation. I was in a deep stillness. I was present. It was just there. The stillness, it opened a door for me to be in presence. And it was funny because my mom fell asleep, I was meditating, and then when she woke up, she's like, something's wrong here. And I'm like, okay, we look at the computer, and the computer was the exact same time it was 40 minutes ago. So we realized our computer had frozen. So this very unexpected moment brought about a perfect lesson for me. I learned so much through that moment, and I really just laughed. We couldn't believe it. So, during that time, I was repeating these 4 words. Be okay with it. Before yoga class, I hadn't eaten. So while I was holding that pose, I felt my stomach, it started to growl, and I felt hungry. And I was like, dang, I really want some food right now. But I was like, you know what? Be okay with it. Be okay with the hunger. Be okay with the growling stomach. It's all good. And then, after a while, after I accepted the present moment, accepted what was happening, I was no longer hungry. It didn't bother me. It didn't get in the way of the present moment. So after that, after a while, I decided to get up because, I was feeling a bit bored and I wanted to change positions. So I was like, cool, let's just do it. And so I got up and I was in the upright pose, the most traditional yoga pose. And I realized that I started to get bored. I'm like, I'm bored right now. And I became aware and I said, you know what, my mind, it's trying to attach to something. That's what happens when we're bored. Our mind is searching to attach to something so it can find some sort of identity. It can identify with something, right? It wants something to do, something to think about. And I recognized that. And I said, be okay with the boredom. Be okay with it. And after a while, as I agreed with the present moment, the boredom was gone. I didn't expect anything to happen besides being there. Next, I felt pain. It hurt. No one wants to sit there for that long amount of time. So I felt pain in my body. And I said, be okay with the pain. Same thing happened. The pain began to dissolve. And this whole experience, it was beautiful. I've had something like this before, but not to this extent because I've held this for a much longer time. I wanted to challenge myself in this moment. And another thing too that happened is that I became very impatient, something that we experience throughout the day. And so I asked myself, where are you trying to go? Where do you want to be that you need to leave this moment? I questioned that thought. I questioned the impatience because the conditioned mind, it will immediately have a thought and believe in it. So I brought space in there and I said, why are you impatient? There was no reason for me to be. And that thought too, it lost its power. All throughout this moment, all through the 40 minutes of this moment, I had the greatest life lessons. And the thing is that these 40 minutes ended up lasting the entire day. What I felt lasted throughout the entire day. I continued to have space and it was more consistent than usual. And during that time, I found myself in a very alert state of joy and peace. It wasn't lethargic. I wasn't like tired or anything. I was alert. I was aware. And I was like, this is nice. And it was the recognition that, silence is not the absence of anything, but it's the awareness of everything. I had thoughts going through my mind, telling me what I should feel, what I should think, how I should be meditating. Because we often have this idea of what it looks like to observe your thoughts. To observe your thoughts is supposed to be like this. To meditate is supposed to be like this. But instead of judging myself and how that moment was supposed to be, I said, be okay with it. Everything was there. I was aware of it, but yet I still chose to feel peace. I still chose to feel joy. And that was a very beautiful life lesson. We can understand these things logically, but nothing compares to the individual experience. So I encourage you to use these 4 words with yourself throughout the day, whether you're observing thoughts, whether you're meditating, whether you are frustrated with what's happening. Choose to tell yourself, be okay with it. My name is Morsi. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like down below. And also check out these 2 videos right here because they will also help you understand how to live with effortless ease. Until next time, peace.